What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports, a daily NFL podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, where we go live every day at 1 p.m. Eastern from now until the earth explodes. It is Friday, September 2nd. If you're listening to the podcast in audio form, which is probably the majority of you, that means it is, I guess, Labor Day. So 3, 4, 5. Monday, September 5th, which means John Breech. The week of the 2022 NFL season is upon us. What's up, man?
It means we are laboring away on Labor Day.
I don't know that this really counts as labor since we're just talking about football and AFC win totals. We're going to give you out our best bets for the AFC.
Brinson, working with you counts as labor.
That's a fair argument.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel better.
It's fair. It's fair. I've decided to go all pen and paper today.
Ooh, we're going old school?
That's right, baby. Old school.
This is 1987 Brinson coming out?
Maybe even like 95 Brinson.
What?
87. That's like a 6-year-old. Like
95? Does that mean you're going to pick a Cowboys Steelers Super Bowl? Here we go, 95?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I already told you who I was picking. Oh, and also...
no, you didn't tell me your AFC pick. You told me the Eagles, and
we
would talk about your AFC pick today.
But then, do you know what happened on Thursday?
No. Somebody got hurt?
No, it's the stupidest thing of all time. But it did decide who my NFC pick is going to be. Trey Sermon was waived by the 49ers and claimed by the Eagles. I have to be all in on the Eagles. Eagles over Ravens. That's my Super Bowl pick.
Eagles over. You're going all bird Super Bowl?
Baby. Let's go.
Poe the mascot just got injured. They're not going anywhere. Their season's over. You can't win without a mascot. I can't believe you're going with
Benjamin Solak of The Ringer, quote tweeted the Poe the mascot getting hurt and was like, if this gets 1,000 retweets, I'll try out for Poe. And it got like 10,000 retweets. So
what?
Enjoy that, Benjamin. Let's dive in on the AFC East. And we start with, of course, oh God, I did something funky with my computer. With the Buffalo Bills. Where else would we start? 11.5 over -140 Breech, under plus 118. Last year around this time, the Bills had creeped up to 11. I had given them out at 10.5 and said it was a mortal lock, and they snuck in to get the 11. They should have gotten there easily, but they decided to score 9 points in Jacksonville one week. What are your thoughts on the Buffalo Bills over under 11.5? A huge number.
Well, my first thought is I would like everybody to know there's never been a bird Super Bowl. And then my second,
true?
That is true. No bird Super Bowl. No all bird Super Bowl. All birds. Very important fact to start off the podcast. Now, my feeling about the Bills. Are we doing the best bets thing at the end where we give our 5 best bets?
Yeah.
Just lock me in with the Bills right now. I hate huge numbers. I hate the 11.5, but I just don't think there's any way the Bills win fewer than 12 games. I mean, the roster's loaded. The division, the Patriots are the Jets are and the Dolphins might step up, but we don't know that. Tua's still a mystery. We don't know what they're going to look like. I just think the Bills are going to cakewalk their way to the division title, and quite frankly, I think they might end up with the best record in the AFC. So I am taking the over.
Yeah, you can't take the under on the Bills. Not with the Patriots looking woofy on offense, and who knows on defense. The Dolphins. I don't want to comment on it. I've got like Dolphin. We'll get to the Dolphins in a minute. I think it's over or nothing for the Bills. You cannot take the under. Like the Bills could go 11-6, and that's like work. They're not going 11-6. They're a 12-5 team, and barring a major injury to Josh Allen or something like that, right?
Well, I think if you're taking the Bills over, you're really just concerned about like the first few weeks, because the Rams game, that's not an easy one. They also have the Ravens in there, the Titans, who beat them last season in that crazy 34-31 primetime game, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Packers. So they just have a bunch of games in those first 8 weeks where it's like, oh, they could lose 3 of those, and then you got to hold on to your head for the rest of the season because, once you get the 3 or 4 losses that early,
it's a tough schedule to start.
Absolutely.
Oh, now I'm looking at this. They're the best team in football, probably.
Yes, I agree with that.
but at Rams versus Titans on Monday night, at Dolphins, at Ravens versus Steelers, at Chiefs versus Packers. That is brutal, man.
Brutal.
Like if they finish those
4-3 is not out of the question there.
right, and they have a week 7 bye between Chiefs and Packers. But if they finish those 7 games. If they finish those 7 games like 5-2, then they're just going to steamroll the entire year and be the number 1 seed.
Yes.
Man. Yeah. So maybe the move is to wait until if you want to bet the Bills, maybe the move is to wait until you get through that stretch and hope they stumble a little bit. I mean, they do have a new OC. Tre'Davious White's on PUP. He's going to miss the first 4 games. I mean, that's all I got to ding the Bills.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it just depends how you feel about those first 7 games. How are they going to get through that gauntlet? Are they going 3-4? Because they went 3-4, which is plausible. I don't think they will, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. And then you're just crying because your over is not going to hit. But we're both taking over.
I feel naked without my computer right now. I'm like looking at my phone. It's just not going to suffice at all for like the things I need during this podcast. But we'll deal with it. Josh Dooley asked in the chat, do we overlook the Josh Allen accuracy issues that easily? I feel like Josh Allen fixed his accuracy issues. Like he's just accurate now.
Well, I think that maybe the issue is that he took a small step back last year from 2020, but it's not like his 2020 season he finished second MVP voting. He had a great season, and there was no way he was going to match that. And so there was always going to be a small step back, but he didn't regress back to like 2018, 2019. His rookie year, he only completed 52.8% of his passes. And that's when everybody's like, the Bills wasted their pick. Look at this guy. And then 2021, he completed 63.3%. And if you get above 63, especially in the offense they run, they'll be fine. As long as he's not throwing interceptions. And he did throw 15, but that's not, this wasn't 20 or 25 or full Jameis Winston where he throws 30.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not taking the under on this. The only hesitation I would have is that will the offense change at all with Ken Dorsey running it? Does Tre'Davious White being absent for the first 4 games impact that brutal schedule? And if they do go like 2-4, you're going to have a really, uphill battle to get to that 12, but it could still happen. All right, the Patriots or the Dolphins next, actually. The Dolphins are next. Wow, the Patriots are the 3rd team in the AFC East. The Dolphins over 8.5 minus 135, under 8.5 plus 115. As someone who is under siege or was under siege for 48 hours from Dolphins fans and Dolphins beat writers, and there's still Dolphins beat writers who are like subtweeting me, and then like some like big Dolphins fan tags me in the comments. I should probably recuse myself from picking this because I am exuberantly hoping that this under hits, and I want all unders to hit. I want the Dolphins to win 2 games. Like I want them to win 2 games, and that's it. And then Dolphins fans just won't say anything to me for the rest of the year. If they win 12 games, it's going to be a long season for me.
Yeah, I don't think they're winning 12 games. I don't think so. I have them winning 9 games in my picks, and so I'm leaning over. I would not bet this at all. Yes, they brought everyone in. Yes, they upgraded the offensive line, traded for Tyreek Hill, did all of the things they needed to do. There's just too many question marks. I just don't know how I feel. They're in a division with the Bills. That's rough. Their opening schedule. They play the Ravens, Bills, and Bengals with 3 of their first 4 games. And if Tua struggles there or struggles against Belichick in week 1 and the Patriots.
Oh, you can't suggest that. Don't suggest that. People will tell you you're crazy because Tua's
3-0 against the Patriots. But
his
okay.
Good against Belichick. Like who cares if he's 3-0? Like, whatever. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Clearly, this is something that bothers you, Brinson.
It does.
But yeah, this is one of those things where, even you look at those games where Tua played the Patriots, and, like a good example was week 1 last season where the Dolphins.
Damien Harris fumbled late to give the Dolphins a victory when the Patriots should have probably.
Well, the Dolphins were up 17-16. So it's not like Tua led them to, 30 points, and he figured out Belichick's defense. That's not what happened at all. So you just have to look at the context. Yes, he's 3-0, but that means nothing. And that's why you're Yeah, I mean, I agree with you more. I'm taking the over, leaning over. You're going under, but I don't love this at all.
Yeah, I mean, mine is more a spite under than anything else.
I love the spite under.
Yeah, and there's basically two stretches that will probably determine this over under, or determine whether it goes over or under. Excuse me. I really am like kind of freaking out without having my laptop in front of me. This is very bizarre feeling. The Patriots week 1 through week 4 is Patriots at Ravens versus Bills at Bengals. Like, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go 0-4. I'm not saying that, but that is not implausible, right?
No, it's not impossible at all.
If they go 2-2, I think that's a pretty good effort. And there's a stretch on the back half of the schedule where in week 13 at 49ers, at Chargers, at Bills, 3 straight weeks. That is a tough stretch. Packers at home, at Patriots. That 5-game stretch, like that's a really, really difficult 5-game stretch. And so if you go 1-3 in the first 4 games and then 1-4 in that stretch, which is not crazy, you're 2-7, and so you've got to basically win what 8 your other 8 games.
And you have to win all the games you're supposed to win. You have to beat the Jets twice. You have to beat the Lions. You have to beat the Bears. You have to beat the Browns without Deshaun Watson. You have to beat the Texans. So, like, you can't slip up in any of those games.
Yeah. So I would lean under here on the Dolphins because spite one, but because the schedule looks kind of difficult. Moving along to the New England Patriots, where our good friend Sully has told us repeatedly to hammer the under on the New England Patriots. And this is part of the reason why you maybe like the over on the Dolphins and certainly like the over on the Bills is it looks like the Patriots are a flaming hot Cheeto, basically on offense.
Yeah, maybe the coaching staff is trying to play some sort of con. This is some Belichick magic, and he's got us looking right, and he's going to go left. But yeah, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, over 8.5 is -125. Under 8.5 is +105. I can't justify taking an under 8.5 with Bill Belichick. Like, I mean, right? Like, it is. If this was, if we flip the Dolphins and the Patriots, and Mike McDaniel was Belichick's offensive coordinator, and they had Tyreek Hill, and we'd be like, Patriots are winning 14 games. And if the Dolphins had Joe Judge and Matt Patricia running their offense, we'd be like, this is a 3-win team.
Right.
So it's like, it once again just comes down to, are you willing to trust the greatest head coach in the history of professional football, even when he's at his like absolute lowest point post Brady? Is that a fair description of what we've got going on with the Patriots?
Yes. And I do not trust them. I do not trust anyone in the organization. I don't trust Mac Jones to have a good year. I don't trust the offense. I don't trust the defense. I don't trust the offensive coaching. I do trust the defensive coaching, but that's not enough trust. Not
the offense is just
trust circle
is such a red flag and such a concern that it's. I mean, they could absolutely go 9-8, and they could still miss the playoffs. By the way, if they go 9-8, they can
so
go
we're just taking the under here.
I'm not taking the under, but I would lean towards the under.
Okay, I like the under.
You like the under?
I don't know if it's going to be a best bet, but I do like the under. I'm going 7-10.
Right. Finally, in the AFC East, the New York Jets. They have a not so robust 5.5 over under. I believe it's a heavily juiced to the over as Breech disappears into a mauve blur. Over 5.5 -150. Yeah, I mean, what do you do with that? Under 5.5 +126. There's no way in hell I would lay 150 on the Jets over for an entire season at 5.5. Like, that's just you're laying like you've got like 5 games with Joe Flacco. Yes, it starts with a revenge game in week 1 against the Ravens, I suppose. Oh man, at Browns versus Bengals at Steelers. So basically, Joe Flacco against the AFC North to start the season for the Jets. Like, that's 1-3 is a pretty good effort.
Not even 1-3. I mean, it's conceivable that they're 0-9 at the bye.
I mean,
like, I'm not saying the Jets are bad. I'm just saying you look at this schedule, it is brutal.
where are their 6 wins on the schedule?
I mean, I'm just looking pre-bye right now. I mean, the Ravens
Breach,
are the
you
better
jump
team.
out real quick, and I'll filibuster on the schedule and jump back in. You're all crunkly. I mean, they have to beat the Dolphins at home, beat the Browns without Deshaun Watson on the road in week 2, the Lions at home in week 15, the Jaguars at home in week 16, at the Seahawks. Like, there's just, I guess, the Bears at home in week 12. I mean, if Zach Wilson can come back and be effective, and if this defense under Robert Saleh in year 2, he said, acknowledging his obvious mistake from a previous podcast, can take a big step forward, and Carl Lawson being back helps a lot, I guess. Like, this is a breaching wrong. I mean, it's the 4 games against the AFC North, Dolphins at home, at the Packers, at the Broncos, Patriots at home, Bills at home. Like, that is a legitimate 0-9 potential start, unless Joe Flacco is just bringing back, like, Joe Montana, Joe Flacco from the playoffs when they made that Super Bowl run, and or Zach Wilson comes back from this. We don't really know what the timeline is, injury, and is just like elite. Like this, you're right, Breach. They can start 0-9, and they have to win. I don't understand why this over is so juiced. I don't know if I see 6 wins here.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And you look at those first 9 games that you just went through. I mean, are they going to be favored in any one of them? Maybe the Browns because Deshaun's not there, but probably not because that's in Cleveland.
No, yeah, it'll be in. I mean, I think that's probably a Browns minus like 2, Browns minus 3.
I don't think they're going to be favored in a game until their 11th game, which is against the Bears Thanksgiving weekend in New York.
I mean, what am I missing here on this 5.5?
It's crazy. Maybe they just think Seattle, Jacksonville, Detroit, Chicago. That gets you to 4 if you win those.
And then you split with they're not going to, Belichick will beat them twice. And then you split with the Dolphins, I guess.
Maybe
split Browns.
I don't know.
I might like this under.
I'm on the under.
Yeah, I think I'm on the under. I mean, I'm definitely on the under. I'm trying to decide if that's going to be a best bet or not. Plus 126 is tasty. All right, let's go to the AFC. We start with the Baltimore Ravens. My Baltimore Ravens, my Super Bowl pick. 9.5 over under for the Ravens. Oh, Lord of mercy. Minus 165. Just move it to 10 already. Ridiculous. I mean, I would lay 165 on this at 9.5. The Ravens are winning double-digit games. Like, barring like major injuries to Lamar Jackson and or half their roster, which they dealt with last year, this is a 10-plus win team. Lock it down. They have a last-place schedule. They have a great coach in John Harbaugh. They have an MVP caliber quarterback playing for a contract. They should get some regression in terms of injuries. Like, should be a healthier team in general. I mean, 165 is obscene, but that's a best bet for me.
Yeah, this will probably be a best bet for me. Also, I think as the official Bengals fan of this podcast, everyone assumes I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this division. I think the Ravens are set up. Maybe they're not the best team, but I do think, as you said, Brinson, the last play schedule, they play 3 games the Bengals don't play, and that's going to work to the Ravens' advantage. And I think that they're going to win the division, and not just double digit. I think they're going to get to 11 or 12 wins. So this does feel like I have a hard time not seeing them. I have a hard time seeing them not hit this over. So I'm absolutely going with the over here.
I would almost rather than make it like over under 10 minus 110 and take, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they'll beat 10 anyway. So I'd rather it be like minus 110. So you don't have to lay the 165, but I mean,
right.
9.5 is like, that's going over. They have the Panthers, Jags. I mean, they get the freaking AFC South or NFC South, excuse me. The Bills at home in week 3. I mean, there's some tough games early on, but I mean, this team could be, I don't know, 6-3 going to the bye in week 10.
But at home, like you said, you look those early tough games, the Dolphins, Bills, Bengals, all at Baltimore.
All right. I mean, it's easy. Like, that's an over. It's just expensive to play. Bengals. Ooh. Over, under 9.5 as well. A little bit cheaper, minus 135, I believe, at Caesars. Your Bengals, Breach. Talk me into, I mean, you're not going to take the under, obviously.
Well, I mean, this team won 10 games last season when they were still kind of trying to figure out who they were early in the season. Obviously, they got hot at the end of the year. But look, everyone is back. You still have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. They upgraded the offensive line. This roster is much better than last year's roster. And so I cannot see this team taking a step back. I mean, last year they were 7-6 at one point and fighting for a playoff berth.
Yeah, that's right.
Before they got hot and made a run all the way to the Super Bowl. So there was the Bengals have kind of arrived, but they're not quite here yet. That's what the conversation was in December. Now it's, the back half of the schedule is tough, but this is a team that ran through the Titans, the Chiefs, the Raiders in the playoffs. They're not going to be intimidated by anyone. And like we just said, the roster is better than it was last year. I'd be stunned if they don't get the 10 games. So obviously I'm taking it over here.
Yeah, I don't think I'm fading Joe Burrow unless we get some sort of news that this burst appendix or appendectomy is like a major problem. You're right. I mean, like they have the best receiving core in football. Is there?
I would say at least trio.
Who's the? Oh yeah, I guess if you wanted to go like just top 2 receivers.
Right. But definitely if you're going down, if you're counting 3, then I would say Bengals absolutely.
They have the best young receiving core in football. How about that?
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, whatever. 4 of the first 6 games on the road is not ideal. They got to they have to make their hay week 7 through week 12. And it's not going to be easy either. Like Falcons at home, at Browns, Panthers at home, then they're bye at Steelers, at Titans. Because the end of the schedule is pretty dang tough. You're going to have Watson back in theory for the Browns. Chiefs at home, at Buccaneers, at Patriots, versus Bills, versus Ravens to close out, man. That is not easy.
That is not easy, and that's what they said last year. They had the Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns to close the season.
And they closed out, and Jamar Chase won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not fading the Bengals, but I mean, I don't think I'd make it a best bet just because there's a bunch of tough stretches to their schedule that the Ravens don't have to deal with.
Right, and if you're in a playoff or trying to win the division, those last 2 weeks are definitely brutal. The upside for the Bengals, they're at home, but closing with Bills and Ravens, especially with the Ravens on a short week because you have that Monday night game in week 17 against the Bills. It's going to be interesting.
The Cleveland Browns over under 8.5. The under heavily juiced at -155, I believe. Of course, Deshaun Watson will miss 11 games. He will return in week 13, I believe, against the Houston Texans, which is, amazing. NFL, you're truly amazing. This is like, what's the win total with Deshaun? Like a full season of Deshaun Watson? Is it like 9? I mean, is it only like one game higher? Is it?
Yeah, I think it was 9.5 or 10 because they had it out in like May.
Which is kind of interesting, right?
I guess.
No? Well, you're not really.
It's not like
strategy that I do today.
Well, no, it is interesting, but it's not like super interesting.
That was interesting, right? I guess.
Well, because you're talking about Deshaun's still going to be there for 6 games. So
the opening stretch here is so friggin' easy that if they have Watson, they're probably starting 4-0.
Well, right, and I think the over/under total is based on the fact that they think Brissett is could also go 4-0 conceivably, maybe 3-1.
So it's at Panthers, Jets at home, Steelers at home, at Falcons. Then it gets obviously a lot tougher. Chargers at home, Patriots at home, at Ravens versus the Bengals. I think the win total for the Browns hinges almost entirely on these first 4 games. Because look, you don't have Watson. You were playing with Jacoby Brissett. The Jets are, not like. The Jets are going to be at least frisky. The Steelers, sort of unknown with the quarterback situation. And you're at Panthers, at Falcons. Like, if you lay an egg at the Panthers and at the Falcons, that's a big, big problem for trying to get over 8.5. I would lean under just because you're talking about no Deshaun Watson for 11 games.
I'm absolutely leaning under here because I just think that you mentioned some of these games, like the Chargers, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers. Those are all games they play without Deshaun Watson, and that's 6 games where I think they're going to be lucky to win 2. And so, and then Deshaun Watson gets back, he's going to be rusty. There's no guarantee.
He played football in like 2 years.
We saw him throw a couple balls in the preseason, and it was ugly. And that's not to say it's what he's going to look like in the regular season, but he's not just going to come back and dominate the first week he's back. I think it's going to take a couple weeks to get acclimated. And he doesn't have a couple weeks because after the Texans, who are going to want to destroy him, that's going to be the Texans Super Bowl. Then he has to go and play Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Then he has to play the Ravens. So there's just no time to adjust here. I'm taking that.
And I mean, I think like from a physical standpoint, you do have to at least worry about, will he be in game ready shape where he won't suffer an injury? This is a guy who has 2 torn ACLs in his career, I believe one in college and one obviously his first year in the NFL. So yeah, I would definitely lean under on the Browns. Steelers total is Steelers are interesting because they, over under 7.5. Vegas is stating that Mike Tomlin could finish under 500 for the first time in his career as a head coach. And the under is juiced to minus 135. I love the over here.
I love the over. And it's me and you. It's like Wilson brainwashed us.
Or Mitchell Trubisky brainwashed us.
Well, just like if you are slightly better than Ben Roethlisberger was last year, just slightly, just 1% better, that team won 9 games. And like, I'm not betting against Mike Tomlin. The guy's been there since 2007. He's never had a losing record. There's no way you can bet against that. I don't think the Steelers are going to go out and win 10 or 11 games. I think they're going to probably win 8 or 9 games, but the over hits if they win 8 or 9 games.
We've seen Mike Tomlin be competitive with Duck Hodges.
Yes.
Like he went on the road. Didn't Duck Hodges win in LA? I mean, it was great. It was like a home game with the terrible towels there against the Chargers, but didn't he win on like Sunday night or keep it close?
That was when Ben got hurt in 2020.
After Ben blew out his arm.
2019. Yeah. And that was Roethlisberger only played 2 games. So the Steelers had to use backup quarterbacks for 14 games and they still went 8-8.
Yeah. I'm not taking the under here. I think Trubisky and Kenny Pickett are upgrades over Big Ben. I think the over is probably a pretty good look. I'm shocked it's juiced to the under. Yeah, I mean the schedule's tough for sure, but you get the Falcons, Panthers. Find another obvious easy win. Jets. Okay, this is a pretty tough schedule, but you get the Browns with no Watson. Once, not a best bet, but I would go over if I was picking it. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will hit up the other 2 AFC divisions next.
The UEFA Champions League. 9 months of heart-stopping, hold-your-breath exhilaration. While Mbappe shines in the city of lights, Benzema's racking up the hat tricks, and the Reds want Mo Magic in Liverpool. This ain't amateur hour. This is the best of the best of the best. This is the UEFA Champions League. Stream every match live on Paramount+.
All right, let's go to the AFC South. I feel like not having my laptop computer is freaking me the freak out. We'll start with the Colts. Over under 10 wins. John Breech is threatened to plant his flag in Indianapolis as the team of destiny with Matt Ryan, but you got a little scared when talking about it yesterday. 10 is a pretty big number for the Colts. Although you see these Matt Ryan clips and like Michael Pittman looks awesome. Ryan slinging it around. They have a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor is there, of course. It would be pretty shocking if the offense was bad. I think for me, the bigger question is with no Matt Eberflus there and now Gus Bradley's taking over, will this defense be better than the sum of its parts, which it's been the last few years? And I think there's a chance it might not be, which is what worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the injury to Shaquille Leonard is also worth talking about because
good work by you.
He had surgery in June, and we don't know how healthy he's going to be to start the season. And so, yeah, the defense could take a small step back, but the offense can make up for it because Matt Ryan is such a huge upgrade over Carson Wentz that it's absurd. And this team went 9-8 with Carson Wentz. The thing is, I was making my predictions. I have them at 10-7, and obviously the over-under is 10. So it's one of those numbers where I don't love them to win 11 games, but I don't think they're going to win 9 games. I think they're going to get above that number. So I'm going to take the over. I don't love it. But I just think this team is so good. And the fact that they get to play the Texans twice, they get to play the Jags twice. They're playing the NFC East. So they have the Commanders. They have the Giants. There's just a lot of winnable games on the schedule. They usually play well against the Titans. And then it's just, and I think they're going to win the division. So I'm going to put the over here, but just barely.
I'm not sure if I was like drinking a bunch of Fireball or something when I sent the picks into Jordan Dejani, but I picked the Jaguars to win the division. I needed like a crazy, I needed like something weird, like I like to have one weird.
Classic Brinson.
Yeah, it is classic Brinson. I think again, like the defense is definitely a concern. The offensive line should be better than it was last year. I think part of like the offensive line woes is probably or actually certainly like correlated to Carson Wentz and his style of play, which Matt Ryan is not at all. Like Matt Ryan is what Frank Reich wants. Yeah, very similar to Phillip Rivers. If he learns a system, and there's no reason he shouldn't. He's had 40 billion offensive coordinators. Then this offense should be good. If you're taking the over here, though, I don't think they're going to lose to the Texans in week 1 in Houston, but this team likes to lose like ugly games week 1 or week 18. So that would be just, if you take 10, they got to win in week 1. So that would be like every one of their brothers is going to have in Survivor too, by the way.
To your point, Brinson, the Colts have lost 8 straight openers. We get lost in all the Brown stock, the fact that they haven't won an opener since 2004. The Colts have not won an opener, I believe, since either 2013.
And they haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014, I believe. And their first 2 games are at Houston, and then second week is at Jacksonville. If they started 0-2, like Jim Irsay would be smashing guitars over like Blue Stampede's head or whatever the mascot is.
Yeah, the last time they won an opener was 2013, and they won by 4 points.
That's crazy, man.
That is crazy.
That's just got to be a fluke. It can't be like a.
You think it's maybe they just.
I don't know.
It takes them a few weeks to warm up.
They better not lose at Houston.
That'd be embarrassing. So what are you doing here? Over, under? What are you leaning?
I think I would lean under, but I wouldn't bet it at all.
All right.
I mean, I think they're probably going to go 10-7.
That's what I think.
Just make it 9.5 or make it 10.5.
Can you bet on the exact win total?
Yes, I think you can.
That's what I'm going to do here.
They're minus 250 to go to. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Titans over under 9.5. Man, the under is crazy juiced. Vegas is out on Mike Vrabel's team. The under is minus 155. The over 9.5 is plus 135. Breech, you're basically Benedict Arnold of Nashville at this point, because you have stabbed the Titans in the back with a trident, and you've jumped on the Colts bandwagon. Defend yourself.
Well, I think it should be clear that I picked the Titans to win the division last year. I was all over the Titans. I thought they were the better team. They did win the division. This year, I'm off. No hard feelings, Nashville. No hard feelings, Titans fans. But you lost A.J. Brown.
Didn't lose him. You traded him.
Traded him. Yes, we should. You willingly gave away A.J. Brown. We don't know if Treylon Burks is any good. And then this injury to Harold Landry is huge because that's such a big part of what the Titans do, is getting all that pressure up front and just making it a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. And man, I hate to say I love the Titans under, but I love the Titans under.
3 of their first 5 games before their week 6 bye. God, it's such an early bye. That's kind of tough. Like, I mean, I would rather have a week 13 bye than a week 6 bye, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Because if you get like, they're Giants at home, which they should win, but maybe the Giants do something weird. At Bills on Monday night, week 2, versus Raiders, at Colts, at Washington, then a bye. They still have to play at Chiefs, at Packers, Bengals at home, at Eagles, at Chargers. Woo. And if the Jaguars are frisky at all, I mean, I would lean under here. Again, like I wouldn't bet the under because it's too expensive, but it given the losses they had on offense by virtue of, the trade and, like what's Derrick Henry going to be like? Is Derrick Henry going to be full Derrick Henry? Because if he is, then whole different ballgame. But if he's not, like if he's banged up Derrick Henry and it's like Dontrell Hilliard running, then I love the under.
Brinson, they have a 5-game stretch where they face the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Packers, the Bengals, and the Eagles.
Good luck going 2-3.
Yeah. I mean, their schedule is just insane. The only breaks they get are when they play Jacksonville, Houston, and I guess maybe Commanders. The Giants, obviously, week 1, you have to win. If you stumble out of the gate against the Giants, you're not hitting the over.
I don't like to fade Mike Vrabel. I would take the under here if I was forced to pick. I wouldn't bet on it personally. I'll tell you what I would bet on, Breech. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Over under 6.5. What? The under is minus 120. The over is over 6.5 is plus 100. I mean, I don't know what the hell is the matter with me that I'm jumping on the Jaguars bandwagon.
You were buying Doug Peterson.
It's Doug Peterson, baby. I know I'll regret this. They're at Washington week 1. I think they're winning that game. Oh man, this is kind of a tough schedule. Versus the Colts week 2, at Chargers, at Eagles, versus Texans, at Colts, versus Giants, versus Broncos. By the way, the sort of like under the radar is the fact that Frank Reich and Doug Peterson, Frank Reich was Doug Peterson's OC when they won the Super Bowl. Like that's kind of a little bit of an interesting chess match that I don't think is being talked about.
Right.
They do have to play at the Chiefs, but they get at Jets, they get at Lions. Oh, this is not a great schedule. But I'm just buying into. I want to buy low on Trevor Lawrence because I think this is as low as you'll be able to buy in on Trevor Lawrence, and I trust Doug Peterson just to be better than Urban Meyer. So I'm going to take the over on the Jaguars.
I absolutely agree with you on trusting Doug Peterson to be better than Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer.
I mean,
Jacksonville won 3 games last season. I think Doug Peterson can absolutely double that total. I've got him at 6 wins, and so it's right on the cusp of the over-under, but I would lean under. I would not bet this because I don't know how much I trust Jacksonville at all. What if it wasn't Urban Meyer's fault? What if the team is just trash?
Well,
I don't think that.
We have like two decades of like evidence testing that that's
right.
Right.
So I'm leaning under on this one.
All right, I'll go over on the Jaguars. Finally, the Houston Texans in the AFC South. The Texans over under 4.5, over -115, under -105. I mean, golly, maybe I might scratch the Jags off and take the Texans. Like, dude, I know that I took the under on the Bears and the Falcons, so I shouldn't say NFL teams can just stumble to 5 wins, but this team gets to play the Jaguars twice. They get to play the Titans twice, and I know that, Titans have the Titans are a lesser version of what we've seen the last few years. They have the Browns at home, and Deshaun Watson's that's going to be an outrageous atmosphere. Like those fans are going to be, as it's going to be ugly in there. I feel like they get the Commanders at home. Oh boy, I don't know, Breech. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm going to go over just because it's the number's so low. And like you said, the Commanders, the Giants, Jacksonville twice, they get the Bears. So if they could just go, say, 3-2 with those 5 games, and then you just need to steal 2 out of 11 games. You go 2-9 in the other 11. And
look, the Colts haven't won an opener since what, 2013? I mean, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think obviously you can't, if you're going to bet on the AFC South, don't bet both the Jaguars and the Texans over. Like that's asking for a lot of losses in your wallet. Finally, the most popular division of football, the AFC West. So hot right now, just like Hansel. The Kansas City Chiefs over 10.5 -125, under 10.5 +105. You know how I feel about the Chiefs. I think they're underrated in the market across the board. This is absolutely a best bet for me. KC over 10.5 -125. Andy Reid, since when he arrived in KC in 2013, has only missed the over on his win total once, and it was last year. And I think it was like 11.5 or 12 or something crazy like that. And they came within like a half game, I believe, of hitting it. Because of what's going on in Las Vegas and with the Chargers and with the Broncos, the Chiefs' value is being pulled down, and I think it's a good buy low spot. I've been talking about it for months. I'm not going to stop talking about it now. Give me the Chiefs over 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has been the starter for 4 seasons, and they have won at least 12 games in all 4 of those seasons. Yes, this division is tough, but you know what? You know who the benefactor is of that? Us, because that means the Chiefs over-under is lower than it probably would have been. And at 10.5, yeah, I think you got to take the over here. I got them at going 11-6, so just barely over, but I'm taking the over. I'm with you.
And look, the start of the season is not easy for them. They're at Cardinals versus Chargers, at Colts, at Bucks versus Raiders versus Bills, at 49ers before their week 8 bye. But it's the same thing sort of with the Bills, where it's like, wow, that's a really tough schedule, except they're a really good team, and they're going to be favored in most of those games, and it's the other team who should be worried about the Chiefs coming to town or the Bills coming to town. So they also get the Jaguars and Titans at home, Titans and Jaguars at home, and back-to-back coming out of the bye at the Chargers, which will be a sea of red. Rams at home. It's a tough schedule, but given that they get to play the AFC South and you're getting a submerged value, this is a no-brainer for me. Over 10.5 is absolutely the best bet.
Jump on it, Brinson.
Oh, I already jumped on it, buddy. Next up in the AFC West, the Los Angeles Chargers. Over 10, minus 150. And again, I mentioned this yesterday. They're not moving these numbers. They're moving the juice because they don't want to give people the opportunity to middle. Like they don't want to have move it to like 11.
They're on to us.
Well, they don't want to have a 9.5 and a 10.5 and the Chargers go 10-7 and you hit both. They don't want to give people the opportunity to middle. So they're just cranking the juice up. I mean, the Chargers seem like they have a great roster. I buy in on their coach. Justin Herbert's a absolute superstar. Tons of weapons. No reason this team shouldn't win double-digit games, but I wouldn't want to lay 150 on 10, I don't think.
I am pounding the over. That's it. I think this team is either the first or second best roster in the AFC. You can maybe the Bills are better.
Hey,
but I mean, you say it like it's obvious. I mean, why? Would you rather have Josh Allen or Justin Herbert?
Josh Allen.
Okay. Well, then that's a good answer. Then yes, the Bills are better. But I mean, you just look at the defense. It's so
it's a really good roster. If Derwin James and Joe goes to play 17 games, this team will win 11 games easily.
Although they're already missing J.C. Jackson. Like the injury bug has already hit the chart. You sign with the Chargers, you're just cursed. There's something weird is going to happen with the Chargers that yeah, exactly. Brinson's making the face like this is why you don't bet the over with the Chargers because something weird is going to happen.
Everybody's like pouring onto the Chargers bandwagon. I'm like, look, you don't. There's a giant hole in the hull, man, and it's like out to sea already. Like,
the Chargers opened an Egyptian tomb at some point because they're just absolutely cursed. Yeah, I'm taking the over here. I'm pounding the over. I love the over. I think they win like 12 games.
God, they get the Falcons, the Texans, the Jaguars. Oh boy, yeah. I mean, they should. I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't win 11 games, but they're the Chargers.
And here's the thing.
I would take the over, to be clear. It's just the juice is just too much for me to jump on.
Well, real quick, starting in week 3, they played Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland without Deshaun Watson, then the Broncos, but then the Seahawks, and then the Falcons. Yep. So you're talking about a stretch of 6
Their bye is in between the Seahawks and the Falcons, too. So you have to travel all the way to Atlanta, but you have your bye week to
right. And that Broncos game, the only difficult one in there is at home on Monday night. So they're probably
the Chiefs in week 2. They could start 7-0.
I mean, starting with that Jacksonville game, they might be favored by 5 or 6 points in every single one of those games, except for that Broncos game.
Absolutely. And the lowest will be and I guess Denver at home. That will be that'll be a Broncos home game probably. But they'll still be it'll be a pick 'em or they're like -1 or something like that, depending on how Russ has looked so far. So yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't. You don't take the under on the Chargers. You just got to lay a bunch of juice at 10, and if they go 10-7, it's a really annoying, like net zero investment over the course of several months. But yeah, they should win 11 games or 12 games. It's a really good team. They're still the Chargers, Breech.
They are still the Chargers. That is the scary part.
The Denver Broncos also at 10, except the under is juiced -125, under 10, over 10, +105. That is interesting because I feel like the Broncos more so, maybe the Chargers are getting the most buzz, but the Broncos are definitely getting like Russ Wilson buzz. I mean, like it's like Russell Wilson staying late. He's working hard. Receivers are buying in. They're hanging out with Russ. He got a new contract. Everyone's happy. Broncos are about to roll. I don't know if I buy it.
I don't know. You say that. I feel like the Broncos are being slept on. I'm not reading. I'm not seeing the buzz. I don't know. We get our buzzes from different places. You get a tequila buzz. I get the whiskey buzz. I don't know what's going on with the buzzes, but I am not seeing a lot on the Broncos. Obviously, people are talking about Russell Wilson, but I feel like it's been pretty quiet with Denver. And obviously, everybody has the Chiefs and Chargers ahead of Denver. You look at the odds. You look at what most people are picking. I like the Broncos a lot, and we've seen, obviously, the last 2 years where a quarterback came in and won a Super Bowl in his first year with the team with Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford. I think
both had established coaches, though.
That's true. That's fair. That's why I'm not picking the Broncos to win the Super Bowl. But I do think they are going to be good, and I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I mean, they start with the Seahawks. I mean, we both said yesterday that like that has a stinky stinky feel to it where the Seahawks might just pull off something weird. But in theory, that the Broncos should go and win that game. Texans at home, 49ers at home, at Raiders, Colts at home, at Chargers, Jets at home, at Jaguars before their week 9 bye. Like, that is a really friendly opening schedule. If there are any hiccups with Nathaniel Hackett and Russ Wilson in this offense, or if this defense is not as good as we expected it to be based on, what we've seen from previous years, it will show up quickly, and I think we will know. Like, if this team is going to go over the win total, it's going to come out hot, and they'll be 7-3, or excuse me, 7-2, 6-3 going into that week 9 bye. Did I do that right? 6-2, 5-3. Ooh. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to lose to the Seahawks. Obviously, we do think it's a stinky line, but you have the Seahawks, the Texans, games you should win. The Jets, Jacksonville, games you should win. So that's 4. And then if you just go 2-2 in those other 4 games, you're 6-2 at the bye.
Okay.
So you going under or over?
I hate that it's 10. Give me a half. Like, I want 9.5 or 10.5. Come on.
That's what I want too, but you got to pick.
I mean, I guess I would go over, but I mean, all 3 of these teams can't. No, see, that's the problem. Is like the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos can't all win 10 games, right?
They can.
I mean, they can, yes, but it's.
I mean, just imagine they all go 3-3 in the division. So then they have 11 games left, and they're all 3-3. So to get to 10 wins, you have to go 7-4, but you don't have to play each other anymore.
I'm going to fade the Broncos. I'll say Broncos go under.
What?
I think they could easily just go 10-7.
I knew we'd have way more disagreements in the AFC.
Yeah,
it's way more exciting.
Way too cozy on the NFC side of things. All right, finally, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're being slept on. 8.5 over -130, under 8.5 plus 110. You got Derek Carr with a big new contract. I really think it's going to be a big year for Derek Carr. Josh McDaniels, I think, succeeds in his second stop. Devontae Adams in town now. You get Chandler Jones in there with Max Crosby. There's a lot to like about the Raiders. I'm actually surprised this isn't 9. Like, I don't know, man. I would go over on the Raiders, I think, at 8.5. If it were 9.5, I might go under. The division is so tough, but maybe they get swept by the Chiefs, but they will definitely be a problem for the Chargers and Broncos.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the things I mentioned with the Bengals where, I said I like the Bengals over because they won 10 games last year, and they're even better this year. And I feel the same way about the Raiders, that they won 10 games last year, and they're even better this year. But the problem for the Raiders is that every other team in their division got good or got better, so it makes it harder to kind of discern where they fall into the pecking order here. Man, I feel like they're the 4th best team, but
I mean, they are the 4th best team.
There's no way
they could finish second, and that wouldn't be crazy.
They're not going to finish with a losing record. I just think they're too stacked. You mentioned everyone. Darren Waller. I mean, Hunter Renfrow. Derek Carr's all these guys that throw to besides Devontae Adams. And then you throw what you mentioned on defense. I just think they're going to be good. So I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I got the over. I like the over on the Raiders too. Man, this is actually kind of tough to. I think the Raiders are best bet.
Not for me.
Yeah. All right. So let's go through our best bets real quick. You do yours first. I'm kind of still.
How many do you have? 4 or 5 or 3?
I
think I'm only doing 4.
I got 4.
Okay, that's good. Same number. That's good.
I think we're both on the Bills over, right?
I dropped it.
Okay.
So I'm not on the Bills anymore. Is that going to be yours?
Yeah, I'm going to go Bills over.
Okay.
I got actually. Oh God, I have 4.
Give me your overs.
I have 4 overs.
Oh, all yours are overs?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give my overs first, and then you give your overs, and I'll give my unders.
Okay.
My 2 overs: Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
Which probably Brinson's on the same page.
I am
and
on the Ravens.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay. My overs. I have the Ravens. I'm going to go Bills 2 at 11.5, which I'm probably going to regret, but they're a 13, 14 win team. Bills over, Ravens over. I don't care. Minus 165. It's a ton, but it's 9.5. Like, that's a joke. It should be 10.5. The Jaguars over 6.5 plus 100. Things a file under. What are things I will regret in 4 weeks for $200, Alex? And then the Chiefs over 10.5 minus 125. So I have one from each division. It's basically the team that I picked to win the division. I'm taking the over on.
Wow, I have one from each division too. That's interesting because we were talking about yesterday how
You could have
if
them
you have
correlated.
five, right, but we don't have to correlate anything because we're all different division. My two unders are the Patriots. I just don't see how they're going to win 9 games.
If their head coach was, I mean, I don't know, like name who's an average head coach.
Anyone else besides Belichick, you would think they're going to win 5 games.
The over-under would be like 6.5.
And then I hate making this best bet. Sorry to everyone in Nashville. Sorry to everyone in the entire state of Tennessee. Sorry to my neighbors. Sorry to the cat down the street that I sometimes feed. But I'm taking the Titans under.
All right. I don't mind the Titans under at all. Probably a better bet than the Jaguars over, but we will see. Okay. That's it. That's the AFC win total pod with our best bets. You can check out the NFC win total pod in the feed. John Breech and I gave out 5 win totals in the NFC each. Spoiler, they all hit.
All of them.
They all hit. If you're watching on YouTube, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holiday weekend. If you're listening to the podcast in audio form, hope you had a great weekend. Enjoy the last day of.
And if you are listening on Monday, my whole entire NFL preview came out on Monday. So just search for it.
Check it out on CBSSports.com or Google John Breech Mega NFL Preview 2022. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For Breech, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.